fun begins.
How's it going?
Hello.
Well,
Greetings, young Jedi.
hello there.
What's up, everyone? Hybrid Toy Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at something premium. Something a touch above what I normally do. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm a Hasbro guy. I like my Star Wars The Black Series, and I think they are all great action figures. It's the primary focus of my collection. But every now and then, something cool comes out. The big one, if you will. And I could not resist the temptation when I saw this at D&E Collectibles in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I could not resist the draw of the Wolfpack Clone Trooper in Hot Toys scale. What an awesome looking figure. The Wolfpack is a very cool Legion. It's one of the few exceptions to my rule of just because something looks cool doesn't mean it's cool. I wasn't a big Boba Fett fan until he got his own show and actually became a character. You know, characters just looking cool doesn't always get me on with them. But Commander Wolf and Plo Koon are some very iconic characters that I like a lot, and the legions that follow them are supremely awesome. So I needed to have one Wolfpack Trooper in my Hot Toy collection. This is the standard one, or I think they call it the Collector Edition, which just means standard. There's a Deluxe Edition, which features the helmet of Wolfpack Trooper Comet, who has a very intricate face design. It's a helmet that I personally don't really like. It's just not to my personal preference of aesthetic. There's nothing wrong if you like it. It's not for me. So I just wanted the standard grunt. Speaking of grunt, is this actually a standard grunt? We'll get to that in the review. And here we have the Wolfpack Trooper box. This is your standard Sideshow box with a handprint over the face there. But this is your standard, like Hot Toys Sideshow box, where it is your black background with the kind of gray wedges on either side, with a image of the trooper looking supremely awesome above a silver foil embossed Star Wars logo. It features the wrap banner in that blue and yellow Clone Wars coloring scheme. This is the Star Wars TMS 142 104th Battalion Wolfpack Clone Trooper 1/6 scale collectible figure. You have another awesome image of the figure there. Your Hot Toys logo, not Wolfpack logo, my bad. Wraparound stripe with that same info. And on this side, you have another image of the Wolfpack Trooper wearing his jetpack. Really excited. Hot Toys with a jetpack. And then you have your Disney character name again. Around back, you have some information just about the company and the sculptors, and comes in a couple of different languages. Basically just labeling it as an adult premium collectible. These boxes do open like a shoebox, well, like a type of shoebox. This has a completely removable lid, and there's an interior art card, which is just photography of the figure, but it looks really cool. Underneath of that, you have the figure and his many accessories in plastic molded trays, and they are all encased in there. I'm going to remove them from the plastic sarcophagus off camera, and then we will start taking a look at this guy and everything he comes with. So here's our Wolfpack Trooper out of the box, and as always, I'm going to start with a quick look through the accessories. So for those that he can carry, he comes with his two Clone Trooper blasters. These are molds that I'm sure we've seen in other Hot Toys. I can't imagine they retool these on every single one. This is your, DC-15, I believe? And it looks very, very nice. It is in a dark, dark, dark gray plastic and has just a little bit of subtle silver dry brushing over it, just to give it that slightly weathered effect. Looks very, very nice. It features a hole at the end of the barrel, but there's no, blast effects included for it or anything. One thing it does do, though, is the stock actually can be unclipped and hinged around, and, it stops there, I guess, but I think some versions have been able to swing all the way back to, work as, a stock, at least maybe on, the Stormtrooper ones. But, yeah, it can articulate for whatever that means to you. To me, it doesn't mean a whole ton, but it's nice that it does. There's also a nice little bit of just copper paint on a couple of, the rivets or hinges on it. It's very, very nice looking. Setting that aside, you then get the Clone Trooper long rifle, which similarly is in that dark gray plastic with a little bit of subtle silver dry brushing over it. This one, I'm not seeing any copper punch-ins on it at all, but it is very nice. It is long, of course, and then it features some like heat staining around the muzzle hole there. But it also does seem to feature a hole that maybe you could peg a blast effect into should it include one, but it is just painted to look heat stained, and I'm okay with that. I'm not really super big on blast effects in general. Sometimes one can be nice, but it's just not an essential for me. So we're going to set that aside too. And then he comes, as I bump the tripod, he comes with the Clone Trooper Jetpack, which looks very, very nice. It is in a dark gray coloring with some white panels, and there's just a lot of grime on it. A lot of scuffing, weathering, a lot of grime going on. Looks very, very nice. Some clean little lines on the side. Even the back side, which you would never really see, features some of that subtle weathering to it. Features a felt pad, and underneath of that felt pad is the magnet. I'll show you how it attaches in a moment. But it also does come with 2 blast effects, which, like I said, blast effects aren't inherently my thing. But some people like them, and it's nice that they're included, and they just peg into the jetpack like so. They are very snug, but once they're in, they're in. And then this jetpack attaches to the figure via magnets. The magnets are on that back panel there. You see it just goes like so. But it does have the ability to pivot a little bit. There's just like one magnet in there, really. But it is a very nice and secure fit. It could be shaken off if the guy took a shelf dive. I'm sure it would go. But just for picking it up and posing it, it hangs on fairly securely. However, I would say take it off, put your figure in the pose, and then put it back on once you've accomplished your pose. Setting our trooper back down. He comes with a little pack with 2 replacement wrist pegs should you somehow damage the wrist pegs on this guy. It's nice that they come with extras. I don't really hear a lot of stories of these getting damaged, but anything's possible, and it's just nice that they're being proactive. And then he does come with a litany of swappable hands. Right out of the box, he does come with these like relaxed hands. These are good for holding the barrel of a blaster or some other type of accessory, and they are pretty identical from side to side. They feature the white hand plate on the back, which features some of that nice subtle weathering, and it just looks very, very good. And then standing him back up there, he comes with 1 swappable right hand, this one being a trigger finger. These hands are nice and rubbery, but just to show, these blasters, you know, the hands are nice and rubbery, but you got to work that blaster into that hand. It's just I don't want to say it's a challenge, but you definitely, like, you have to make it fit, you know, and once it's holding it very nice and very secure, and even with the finger on the trigger. But it's not necessarily as easy as some Black Series figures are, or maybe I'm just afraid of damaging it, because, you know, when you're spending this kind of money on a figure, you do want it to, you know, be a little bit secure. But anyway, he holds the blaster very well in that trigger hand. And then he comes with a number of left hands. He comes with a trigger hand for the left hand in case you want him to be holding the rifle on that side, or maybe you want to have him dual wielding them. He comes with an index finger out, a pointing finger, and then he comes with a thumbs up hand. And of course, these all feature weathering on the back hand plates there. But so those are all for the left hand, meaning he's definitely more of a hold the gun in the right hand primary kind of guy. The left hand maybe can be gesturing. And then he also comes with a stand. This is a very standard Hot Toys stand. They use it with a lot of the troopers. It's just meant to simulate the flooring in like a base or a ship. There's a lot of scuffing going on all over it. It has a nameplate, the 104th Battalion Wolfpack Clone Trooper. It has this extendable like waist grabbing stand. I generally like these stands. I know there are some that are kind of like a crotch grab where they kind of grab it from underneath and hold it up at the waist. I think those are okay too. But you know, when these figures are this expensive, it's just nice giving it a little extra, a little help, so that you just don't have to worry about things happening to it. Because man, if one of these takes a shelf dive, you know, at $230, $240 a pop, man, if something gets damaged, you feel like extra bad. You know, your Black Series falls off and the lightsaber blade snaps out of the hilt. That sucks, but man, for $20 you can be in business again. You know, like it's not always the case here. So now, just taking a look at the Wolfpack Trooper, something that I would like to just talk about up front. Let me see if I can pop it off easily. Yep, we will take a look at this helmet. So the helmet is removable even on the standard version, even though he doesn't come with the swappable helmets. The deluxe version comes with some extra weapons, a backpack, and then it comes with a Phase 2 and Phase 1 Wolfpack Trooper Comet helmet. Now, this is meant to just be the Trooper. However, this is actually Wolfpack Trooper Sinker. And so, if I'm remembering right, Boost features some markings under his eyes. And the actual standard Trooper does not have all this gray going on. It features the band around the top. And if I'm remembering right, the ears are gray, and you have a little bit of gray around the mouth. But this lower band being all gray is not accurate, whereas this is actually what Boost does. This is not the first go-around on this. Sideshow originally did it once upon a time. When they did the Phase 2. So now Hot Toys has done the mistake. They may have just been emulating Sideshow, but other figures have done this too. I would like to point out, however, for what it's worth, our knockoff kings over in China, Vale's Toys, they got it right on the standard Trooper. So it definitely sucks that it wasn't caught, but let's just look at this while I got it up here. It does have some very beautiful weathering. It's just got that kind of speckled, you know, like dirty look all over the white. You know, I would hardly call this Trooper a white Trooper in general. He's basically like a dingy off-white gray with the dark gray panels. He is dirty. He has been on the battlefield. Now, I will say, I'm not mad about this being Sinker, because I'm still ultimately just going to have one on the shelf, and at least his helmet is almost a standard Trooper, but it's just worth noting. But very, very nice deco on this helmet. I really like how this guy looks a lot. Bringing that back together, let's go ahead and pop the head back on. Easily done. And now, just taking a look at him from the shoulders down, he looks very good. So he is, at his core, a white Trooper with some gray decoing. Like I said, all that white is very, very weathered. He is dirty. He has done some things, but it's not over-the-top grime. You know, he didn't just get back from Mimbon or something. You know, this is just a suit of armor that has been worn for a couple of years into many a battle. And after a while, some of those marks just don't come off when you clean it. So it's very nicely done. He features gray at the top of the chest armor, and then down the sides of the biceps. The shoulder pad features the Wolfpack clone signet there, and then around back, he has the gray going around that back plate there. Another shoulder pad, a little bit of scuffage going on there, a lot of just subtle weathering throughout. I really like the wrist communicators on the Clone Trooper armor. It's just a little detail that I've always liked having there. Features a non-removable grenade on the back of the belt. The belt is a little bit rubbery feeling. It can, of course, get out of the way for varying poses. And the thing about this figure is it is a soft goods bodysuit with armor pieces slid on over it. So, you know, the pieces can be shifted a little bit to get out of the way when you want certain poses to be reached or not. The boots look very, very nice. You know, the calf armor has all the scuffage going on in the gray on the front, and then you have that weathering on the boots. Bottom of the boots are pretty clean. It doesn't say Andy, but it does say Lucasfilm and Hot Toys Ltd. So they definitely got their little bit of markage on it here and there, but only where it had to be, and in a very, very nicely well hidden places at that. So I can't really gripe too much about the labeling on it. You know, it's not like a Hasbro figure having white text on the inner thigh of a black figure or something. So at least it's been done a little bit more discreetly on the Hot Toy. To run through some articulation, you know, Hot Toys, they basically do anything you could want them to do. However, there's like a very highly articulated body underneath of a suit of armor. So much like a real person, you know, it might get a little bit hindered in places, but we will buzz through it really quick. So the head is 2 ball joints at the top and the bottom of the neck, so you can get a ton of range You can look about that far up. You can bury his chin onto his chest. Of course, 360 rotation is possible. Just really, really great head articulation. The arms can come up to about a T-pose, where there is a nice deep cut butterfly joint in there. The arms technically can 360 at the shoulder, but you're gonna start like really tugging on that soft goods undersuit, so I'm not going to do that. The shoulder pads are connected with an elastic strap around the arm underneath there. He has the double jointed elbows, which can go that far up, and then 360 at the wrist with a hinge. And just to set them down and take a look at these wrist pegs, just to show you the design, there's a peg on either end. So it's not a vertical hinge. You can rotate that pin in there and make it a horizontal hinge. So it's just what you need it to be. There's a mid-torso crunch underneath of all of this armor, allowing it to really only crunch about that far forward. You can go pretty far back and get a little bit of a gap in that armor there if you want. But I think some just somewhat neutral posing might be better there. The legs, if you get that armor out of the way, can kick almost straight forward. There's a little bit of back going on. There's a thigh swivel in there, and then double jointed knees, which can go about that far. You can see there is that thigh swivel. You can pivot it easier when you bend the knee and use it as a lever. The feet are kind of like on like double ball joints, so they can go pretty far up and down and side to side and shift forward and back just a little bit in there. So basically you can get him to pose however you would like him to. There's just a touch of fiddliness because, as mentioned, it's a body under a suit of armor. And so you ask anyone that you might know that does like the 501st costuming group, or people that just wear big cosplays to conventions, you know, it does hinder your movement a little bit. So there's like a really, 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 really articulated body in there, and then the armor just hinders it a little bit. But that's just the nature of it. It makes it realistic. So at the end of the day, what do I think about the Hot Toys Wolfpack Trooper? This guy is sick. You know, I really went into Hot Toys trying to give myself a couple of rules because I didn't really want to like go too crazy on it. You know, I have a couple. I like what I have. I was trying to tell myself just stick to Mandoverse characters, but man, the draw to the clones is just irresistible. And then there was like one or two Marvel ones that I had to have, and Superman, and so I've given myself still some very, very loose rules, like no army building. But I'm okay with having like a Wolfpack, you know, 501st, you know, one of, you know, this legion, one of that legion, just to sprinkle a little bit of my love of the clones throughout a higher, more premium, scale, if you will. So this guy, I am just super, super happy with. He is super fun to pose. That jetpack is very fun. I like getting these different accessories with the different figures. You know, he's my only clone so far to feature a jetpack. Well, I guess I have Captain Vaughn. That review's coming soon. He features like the little like Commander Cody like jump pack, but not with like the blast effects or anything, which I don't think the blast effects are going to make their way to my shelf, but I think this is how he's going to look on my shelf ultimately, just wearing the jetpack. But just a very, very fun figure. You know, if you are a collector that has yet to try Hot Toys, you know, you're a little put off by the price. I totally get it. I was there for years. I sympathize with my younger self. I definitely see the value now that I've like had a couple, handled a couple. They're very, very nice. They're too expensive for me to make my primary thing. I enjoy my Black Series too much to make these my primary thing. But I know a lot of people that do have these as their primary thing. I don't think there's any wrong way to go about it. If Hot Toys makes a figure that you're just like, wow, that looks really good, and it's a character I really like, you're probably doing yourself a disservice by not at least thinking about it. You know, if you don't have a Hot Toy yet and you see one that just catches your eye, try it, you know, just try it. You won't get hooked. You won't, right? But yeah, I've really come around on these Hot Toys. I'm really liking them. I don't know that I'm gonna review a ton of them on the channel, but we will definitely see the occasional Hot Toy review just starting to hit. I can't resist. I've definitely caved You hear that, Skywalker Hendrix? You won. Skywalker Hendrix is the one that's definitely twisting my arm to get started on these. If you want to see the review of the full-blown deluxe with the alternate heads reviewed in an awesome light box, then you need to go and check out Skywalker Hendrix's review of this trooper. I will try to hyperlink it here. I will also try to remember to hyperlink his review of Commander Wolf, who has also come out very recently and is complimentary to this guy. So there's a lot of Wolfpack love coming our way from Sideshow lately, and Hendrix does an awesome review. Easy to watch on your phone, too, because they're filmed vertical. So we know a lot of viewers are on the phone these days. So anyway, thank you for listening to me yap about a toy line that I don't collect very often. This one was just cool. Too cool not to. And keep an eye out because there is a Captain Vaughn review coming very, very soon as well. So thank you all. We'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you, and have a good one. Bye.